So often, we as consumers are scolded for the things that we should be doing to save the planet, especially when it comes to the fashion industry. So people will give so much advice for how to consume less, and that's very valid, but I feel like this is done purposefully so that we are spending so much time policing our individual actions instead of holding brands and companies responsible. So today I wanted to make this video about some of the changes that I would love to see the fashion industry make. And there actually are already brands that are doing some of these things. So I hope this video will help you be aware of some of these small changes that brands might be making so you can support these brands. And please leave a comment down below if you know of any brands that are doing like multiple of these things so that we can all learn and share from that information. Before we begin, I should introduce myself. I'm Nabila. I talk about sustainable fashion and sewing here on YouTube. And since it's relevant for this topic, I also used to work in the fashion industry for about 5+ years. And I actually usually don't mention that on my channel, although I think it's obvious from the way that I speak about some of these topics. But yeah, I've seen some of these firsthand, and that's the experience I'm bringing when I talk about these topics. So the first thing that if I could snap my fingers and change about the fashion industry would be obviously fair wage practices. If you know anything about me, then this is pretty obvious. This is one of the topics that when you're learning about fast fashion, you will definitely learn why this is so important. I will link a video that details this topic very well and how the industry can change, because if I talk about it in this video, it is just going to take up too much time, and so many people have already covered this topic, so I don't really feel like it's necessary to go in depth. But obviously this is a huge one, so if you happen to not know about this topic, please click the video down below and learn more from there. With that big obvious one out of the way, the next thing I would say is I would love to see the industry stop chasing these micro trend cycles and instead design well thought out pieces. I love when I see a brand that is obviously working on their own well thought out point of view, and they are creating designs that are almost trendless because it's with the designer's kind of personal style, and that kind of thing will last so much longer in your closet than a micro trend. Another big thing is I would love to see the fashion industry employ more fit models and have more fit options for different sized bodies. So that goes for tall, petite, and plus size. There are so many brands that are closing down their plus size lines, and that is really not the direction that the industry should be going, in my opinion. We really need to have options for all different types of bodies. I also really like when I go into a store and there is a alterations person on site, so you can buy something and then actually maybe change the length of the hem in store. So that's all done like in-house, and it just makes that whole process so much easier. When something fits you really well, you're likely to keep that in your closet for a long time. When you wear things that fit you correctly, it is so key to developing your personal style and feeling comfortable in the clothes that you wear. So I just really wish that we could see more companies move to different size options and of course plus size lines. The next thing I would love to see is more companies shedding light on their product testing. I talked about this a little bit in my cost of affordability video, but product testing is so important. When a company pays for product testing, they are seeing if the fabric pills, the color fastness of a fabric, and all these things that are code for how long is this actually gonna last in your wardrobe. With how cheaply some things are made nowadays, it honestly should be kind of illegal for a company to sell you something that they know is not going to last you more than one wash, especially when we consider the environmental impact of just making one piece. It really should be lasting you more than one wash. Like, that's the bare minimum. When a company pays for product testing, it tells me that they care where their customers' dollars go towards. If you see a brand mentioned in like the Buy It for Life subreddit, for example, there is a good chance that that company did pay for product testing. Even if they are a more budget-friendly brand, they still care about where your money is going and that you had a good experience with their product. So I just wish that more companies would share that they are doing product testing. they probably don't want to do that because in case they stop paying for the product testing, they probably don't want you to know that. But yeah, I wish more brands would show us that they're doing product testing, because this is just something that brands don't talk about. And I really wish they would, because it shows some level of care for the items that they're designing. Another thing that I wish brands would shed more light on is their supply chain. When you start looking at the supply chain when it comes to the fashion industry, you might be surprised to find that the fabric might be produced in one country, then shipped to a different country to be cut, then shipped to a different country to be sewn, and then shipped to yet another country to have the buttons and trims and zippers and all of that, then maybe shipped to a whole other country for the packaging and labels and things like that. These companies are doing this because it's cheaper to ship this garment all around than it is to produce in one country specifically, but it is not cheaper when it comes to emissions. So you will see some sustainable brands highlight that their supply chain is kept more local, and it's for that reason. This should be something that's important to all of us as we live on the earth. Anyway, another thing I would love to see companies doing is partnering with a secondhand marketplace for their items, specifically for resale. So I noticed that one of my favorite brands, Girlfriend Collective, partners with, I think it's Treat. It's an online marketplace for pre-worn Girlfriend Collective pieces. So I know I already love this brand, and I could safely buy from this marketplace knowing that everyone is selling Girlfriend Collective pieces. And this is just a great way to support some of your favorite brands, but buy them secondhand. And I do know that a lot of brands do work with Treat and other online marketplaces, but I would love to see more of that for different brands. Another thing that I would love to see is more recycled fibers. Now we are starting to see this a little bit. Recycled fibers also come with a cost and also an emissions cost. So it's not perfect. None of these are perfect, but I think it is a step in the right direction. With so much fabric on this earth, is there really a reason for us to make new fabric? I would really love to see companies recycle materials, especially when stock doesn't sell. Currently, some brands sell to like discount stores to get rid of stock that doesn't sell, but I would really love to see these companies take responsibility for the products that they produce and recycle it themselves, rather than them writing off this stock to sell it to a different company and not really having to deal with the consequences. And this last thing that I would like to see change is specific to when I see a new brand pop up and claim that they are a sustainable company. If you are starting a new company, please solve a problem that consumers have. Don't just be sustainable and sell a basic white t-shirt. There are so many companies that claim to be sustainable. They're using organic cotton and so many nice materials and all that, but the most sustainable thing would have been for your brand to not exist. So you need to be solving a problem that consumers really have, rather than just give us the same recycled stuff that we've been seeing that we can maybe buy secondhand from another company and be more sustainable that way. So I know this video is directed more towards brands and companies, but how can you, the consumer, help? So when you see a brand doing any of these things, try to support them. Know that recycled materials, for example, costs money. And so when you see a higher price tag on an item with recycled materials, you should know that that is what that's going towards. If I could snap my fingers and change all these things about the fashion industry, I would also snap my fingers and make sure that you are paid more so you can support these brands. So when you see a brand doing any of these things, try and support them if you can. Maybe write a comment and ask them to partner with a resale platform if you see that they don't do that already. You can try to see if a company is doing any of these things by clicking their sustainability tab on their website. Another nice start is if a company has B Corp certification. That's not everything, but it is something. I hope this just starts a conversation about different changes that we would like to see in the fashion industry. And maybe if you work in the fashion industry, you can make those decisions to hire more fit models, for example. Anyway, that's all I have for today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.